Nnamdi Kanu get judgment alert as a ghost is invoked to confirm Nnamdi Kanu's freedom, says the prophet. Oh yeah now, my people. This prophet is always on air giving us the latest. And believe me, you cannot believe what he has just dropped this day. Please, I want to plead your innocent heart and your innocent time to please pay attention as this prophet drop this very vital information ahead of November 20th. You cannot believe this. Please spare me this little time as I take you along this very video. Let's watch this. Bikono.
You watch previous broadcasts and prophecies on this channel, Maxwell Nnamdi. It is important. If you have not watched them, all the way from the 26th of September, all the way from the 26th of September 2025, I'm talking of the most recent prophecies and broadcasts in regard to the freedom, the healing of Nnamdi and the Biafra restoration. The Trump planned military action is all in line with prophecies on this channel. Specifically, the prophecy on the 18th of April 2025, after my 7 days dry fasting. Please, I don't want to say more than this. I want you to make use of the details in the description below this video. Once again, like, share this broadcast, subscribe to this channel if you are new to my channel. I will be showing you the ghost that they have invoked. The ghost. I never knew that in this day and age, that government could actually consult ghosts, could actually invoke ghosts against their perceived enemy, unconstitutionally, illegally. Please, here it comes. Listen, I want us to see the ghost together. I want us to read that very ghost, what it is. The Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013, TPAA 2013. The Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013. The acronym is TPAA 2013, which amended the criminal or the original 2011 Act. It introduced significant changes to Nigeria's counter-terrorism legal framework. This TPAA 2013. Which of the counter-terrorism legal framework that it introduced significant changes to? Concerning terrorist financing, okay, and extraterritorial application, and the powers of law enforcement agencies. This act has expressly been repealed. It has been repealed, and it has been replaced by the Comprehensive Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022, which is TPPA. So the acronym here, or the first acronym is TPAA, which is Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act. That is TPAA of 2013. Now, the one that is invoked right now, that is alive, that succeeded or that took over the ghost, TPAA 2013, is TPPA. TPAA. If you don't understand all this, there is no way you are going to understand what the government is trying to do in the case of Nnamdi. You will be lost. When you hear all these acronyms and when you hear all these words, if you don't really understand how to place them, if you don't really understand how the Constitution of Nigeria has placed them, the judiciary or the judge or the lawyers may bamboozle you with very big words without explaining in details or in layman terms, understanding what these acronyms stand for or these words stand for. Which one among them is the ghost? Which of these is the ghost? And which of them is alive? Which of them? That is what we'll be looking into in this very live broadcast, and also other important aspects of the developing stories, building up or a countdown to the Judgment Day of Nnamdi Kanu. So, the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013, TPAA, has been amended. It amended the original act of 2011. Okay? So from 2011 to 2013, it ceases to exist. It became a ghost. It became dead, buried successfully. The funeral was supervised and presided over by the former president of Nigeria, late Muhammadu Buhari, and of course, the red chamber, which is the Senate, and the green chamber, which is the House of Representatives of Nigeria. Many of you are not aware of this. We saw the burial ceremony, the funeral of this very ghost. This ghost that has been invoked to kill Nnamdi Kanu, this very ghost that has been invoked to jail Nnamdi Kanu, this very ghost that they have invoked to stand in order to cause the travesty of justice, the death of justice on the Judgment Day. Very, very soon, you will be hearing a lot of things coming from the part of the government, but we are standing in the gap from the prophetic chamber to ensure that this ghost remains dead, never rises to life. With your prayer, with your effort, with your enlightenment and understanding, helping to spread this gospel of truth, we will successfully do that. We will successfully do it. So, the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013, TPAA, was amended, or it amended the original act itself of 2011. It now introduced a significant changes to Nigeria's counter-terrorism legal framework, particularly concerning terrorism financing, extraterritorial application, and the powers of law enforcement agencies. So this very act, this particular act in reference that we are talking about right now, this very act has been expressly repealed, and it was replaced by the Comprehensive Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022, which is TPPA 2022. By the way, I have the Constitution of Nigeria here with me. I have the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria with me. Is here, as you can see. So some of the things that I will be bringing to you, even though this live broadcast will not last for a longer time, that is why it is important you share it immediately, and please don't log out. Don't log out. Stay with us, please. Remember, everything we are doing on this platform is prophetic and also legal. It is also spiritual. So whichever dimension that comes into the live broadcast, we take it on. We don't leave any breathing space. Now, I will be reading certain sections of the Constitution of Nigeria, but when we get to that point, you will be hearing from this very 1999 Constitution as amended. We don't only preach, we don't only pray, we don't only prophesy, we also try to study what the Constitution says, so that when we offer our prayer, we are praying with comprehensive, complete understanding of the matter, and God hears our voice and our prayers. So, like and share this broadcast. I am God's major prophet, Maxwell Nnamdi. What is the key provision of the TPAA 2013? What does it provide? What are the key provisions? So the TPAA of 2013 primarily aimed to strengthen the existing legal framework to align with international best practices, not just local or Nigerian best practices, no, but international best practices and UN conventions, especially regarding financial intelligence and international cooperation. The key provisions, number one, is extraterritorial application. Extraterritorial application. The act expanded the jurisdiction of Nigerian courts to cover terrorist offenses. Terrorist offenses that may have been committed outside Nigeria. So that is why it is called extraterritorial application. It provided extraterritorial application. It expanded the jurisdiction of Nigerian courts in order to cover terrorist offenses that are committed outside Nigeria, particularly those terrorist offenses that relate to financing, terrorist or terrorism financing. These are one of the key provisions of this very law. So that is it. And secondly, the key provision include strengthened terrorist financing offenses. Strengthened terrorist financing offenses. So in other words, that terrorist terrorist financing offenses now became stronger. Terrorist financing offenses became stronger by this very law. So it enhanced provisions related to the funding of terrorism. It now made the funding of terrorism an offense for any person or entity to knowingly, directly or indirectly provide or collect funds with the intention they be used for terrorist acts. So that any person or entity that knowingly, directly or indirectly provides or collect funds with the intention to fund terrorist acts. This very provision makes the terrorism or terrorist financing offenses very stronger, very stronger. Another provision of this very law is increased penalties. So the TPAA 2013 increased maximum sentences and introduced lengthy minimum sentences. All offenses carrying a minimum of 20 years imprisonment. All of these offenses, they carry a minimum of 20 years imprisonment for various offenses in this regard, including terrorist meetings. You need to understand this. If you are IPOB member, if you are one of the fans and followers of Nnamdi Kanu, I know that many of us are. If you are a man or a woman that don't really understand the implication of the prescription of IPOB and where this trial of Nnamdi Kanu is heading to, you need to listen very closely and attentively. And please don't log out until this live broadcast is over. Like, share this broadcast. So they are now heading to either minimum imprisonment of 20 years. That is where they're heading to for Nnamdi Kanu. That is where they are possibly heading to. If not capital punishment, life imprisonment of 20 years minimum. So that you may understand the judgment day, that it is not just a judgment day. You don't allow this day to come without your full knowledge and grasp of what the law is saying and the route the government has taken or has chosen in order to silence Nnamdi Kanu permanently, in order to silence the Biafran people permanently. You need to understand this. Very important. Very important. I repeat, one of the key provisions of this law is increased penalty, increased maximum sentences, and it also introduced lengthy minimum sentences. All offenses carrying a minimum of 20 years imprisonment for different kind of offenses, including terrorist meetings. You know, IPOB used to have meetings, they used to have family meetings, okay? They are targeting all this through this law, okay? Now, soliciting support, maybe funding or fundraising. Like you hear sometimes IPOB is raising funds for ESN, they are raising funds for Nnamdi Kanu's legal costs and expenses and medical care. That is where the government is heading to. That's why they decided to invoke this ghost. This very ghost that was dead and buried they invoked it so that they can use it to convict him in the court of Nigeria and jail him. And if Nnamdi Kanu is jailed, listen to me very carefully in case you don't understand. If Nnamdi Kanu is jailed, it is over for the Biafra restoration. You need to understand this. If Nnamdi Kanu is jailed, if the government succeed in jailing him to a large extent, if not by 95% or 99%,